Hi everyone, thanks again for watching. Today I'm going to be installing the RaceChip XLR, which will connect to the throttle of my 2018 F-Pace Jaguar, which is going to go basically under there. So in the package, what we've got, which I'm trying to do one-handed again because I have no tripod or anything to sort of mount my camera on. Is the XLR little body here, which you can control the throttle, and then you got the brain box, which will also be installed inside underneath the driver's side panels. So let's get started and see how it goes. So inside the package you're going to get your user manual. Basically tells you how to operate the XLR, all the contents in the package, and how to install it. There's two ways because you have two different styles depending on make and model of your car, but you have the floor mounted accelerator pedal instructions, and then you have the hanging throttle pedal instructions. And in this 2018 Jaguar we have the hanging throttle pedals, which is going to be a little bit easier than mounting the floor mounted ones. So I'm going to take you on a step-by-step on how I mount this XLR onto this Jaguar F-Pace. So to get started, you're going to need one of these little tools in order to pry away this panel here. As you can see, I've got started a little bit. You want to make sure that you can get under there without breaking any of these tabs. Because we want to get to the back of that there, so we can plug in the XLR and then we can be able to mount it all back there. So I'm going to take a little time here to make sure I get this thing popped off without breaking any of the tabs. Fingers crossed. And once I get that off, then we'll get back to the video on how to get this thing installed. Okay, so I've got the panel loosened up here, and it's just 3 little plastic screws, I think, for the most part. The hardest one to get was this one here. This one was a real pain in the butt to get to. You can see there's a lot of room to work with there. I think there might be one more that I've got to loosen up here, if I can see. Oh, nope. So, what you want to do is just remove that panel. It's a pretty big panel there. And so that clears the way for you to get to where you need to get to, which is... Sorry, this thing keeps losing focus here, but you want to get to that right there. And we're gonna put a little bypass in through there with the brain box of the XLR here. That's connected to this. And then we're gonna get that mounted inside as well, somewhere inside this column, in order to keep it nice and hidden. Obviously there's a lot of space that we can tuck it into and attach it to, so that could be a big problem, getting that attached in. And then we're going to thread through the little controller, which I'm thinking is going to come out somewhere around here and either attach up here or on the other side over there. So let me go through and get started. So just a little word of advice, what I would do is probably get a blanket or something that you could put down, because you're going to be down underneath this thing quite a bit as you get this thing installed. It'll just be a little easier on your knees. So we're gonna start digging in here and get this thing all plugged up and wired in. So the first step is that you're gonna wanna unplug the harness that's on the top there. You can see right there, pretty easy. It doesn't have this little safety clip like the RaceChip has in the engine compartment. So what you're gonna wanna do is find which side connects to which side first, obviously. Okay. So you're gonna look at the two-part harness here, and I believe this one will connect into this, the male into the female. Again, I'm doing this one-handed. It's not ideal, but you want to hear that click. And this one, you want to go over the top. And down there, you want that to click, and then you're going to engage that safety clip there. So that's basically all you're going to have to do. Now it's just finding a nice hard surface for you to find to mount the brain box, which is this little device here. And the nice thing is that RaceChip will provide you two Velcro backings for it in order for you to find a nice spot to hang it. And you can put that there, right? And then you'll just mount this somewhere, and that will secure it up there. And then once that's all done, you're gonna take your XLR control module, and all this does is simply plug back here. So I'm gonna get all that threaded through, and I'm gonna find a nice suitable spot to sort of mount this. And yeah, we'll continue the video, and I'll show you where that's been placed. All right, so after some finagling, as you can see, I got the XLR hooked up there to the accelerator over here. Again, apologize for the camera work. The bypasses here, so you got the XLR harness here. So that's plugged in, and I got it running through. And I found, because in this diesel, there's a lot of soundproofing and a lot of insulation, which makes it really hard to mount against, because sticky tape won't stay on for long. It'll just end up ripping off. So what I did is I found, tucked up here, is a bit of the frame, which then I put the double-sided Velcro tape on, and you can see there I have the brain box there mounted up. Now that's right above the trunk release hood, and I gave you, the RaceChip gives you these little clips here, which you'll be able to use to stick on to different places in order to run that wire a little bit more neatly. This one here, so that it doesn't get in the way of anything that you're driving, because that would be exceptionally bad. So let me get that sort of routed through, and I'll show you how I did that to make sure it doesn't get in the way of anything under here. All right, so instead of using the little tabs that was provided by RaceClip here, what I did is I used some twist ties and found a couple brackets in which I can tie everything up to. As you can see right there, I've got the wire tied up and running across down over here to this side, and I've sort of tucked it into this panel here, so it gives it some rigidity in terms of where it's installed. And then I'm going to twist tie, add a little plastic tie here, cinch that together with that so it sort of stays in place. And then I'm going to be able to run the XLR module down in through this gap here in the steering column, and I'll show you where I end up mounting the XLR, which is probably going to be right around this area right here. So it'll be a little bit out of sight for the driver, but you'll know it's there, easy to reach to when you want to crank it up or crank it down. But then I'll be able to run the wire down through here, back underneath the panel here, and then just plug it up over there. So let me get everything tied up and squared up here, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so now that that's all buttoned up and squared away, obviously the wire's there hanging. It doesn't need to be flush with anything really, because you're going to have the panel there to cover it. I'm going to run the XLR module wire through here. So we're just going to feed that through all the way. It's pretty easy. Reach underneath, just pull it all the way in. You can see you got the module there. And we're just going to plug it in under there. Okay, now it's plugged in, as you can see, and we're gonna have a lot of slack wire sort of here. And so what I'm gonna do is probably tie all this up together and then just sort of tuck it up underneath, because we want to make sure that this module here looks pretty flush, and we're gonna just sort of tuck that wire through so that there's not going to be a lot of wire showing on there. So we're gonna just plug it up right there, obviously, and then again, like I said, we're gonna tuck it through so it looks pretty flush, and it's gonna look almost like it's came from the factory that way. And once we get that all tied up together, we're gonna put the panel back on, and the installation should be done, and then we'll give this thing a little test run to see the difference. So XLR package, they will include two little rounded double-sided tape stickers here that you stick on the back, and we're gonna make sure that this area here is clean and flush, and we're gonna make sure that's stuck on firmly so that it doesn't peel off at any point or come off. One thing about aftermarket products is that it doesn't quite stick as well sometimes, and so you're going to want to make sure that that's put on well. Obviously this thing has its orientation, so you're going to want to line that up so it looks nice and clean once it's on. And so we'll get this mounted on, make sure that it's put on straight, and then show you how I tuck the wires in. Okay, now we got the XLR module installed here. You can see right behind the headlight stock. Got the wires tucked in, running through. And if I go down below here, I'll be able to show you sort of how I got it run in and tucked right under there. So I just bunched up the wires. And yeah, basically now you're fully installed. So let's turn on the ignition and see if that lights up as it should. Yep, that's what you're here in neutral and sport. So everything works as it should here. Module's on. ignition there. So what's left is just to put on the plastic face again, the cover, and good to go. And we'll take this thing for a little test drive and see if we can notice any difference on the throttle response. Alright, so the cover's reinstalled. Can't really notice off the surface. You can sort of see the wire in the background there, but that's not going to be obvious. If you're looking, it's just because the camera got the right angle there, but you got no wires hanging down, getting in the way. Everything is tucked up as it should be. So yeah, let's get cleaned up here, and we're gonna take this thing for a spin around the block and see if we notice any difference. I just wanted to disclose that in no way is this video sponsored by RaceChip. These were all purchased through their website, www.racechip.us. So yeah, I guess I just needed to disclose that to make sure you guys all know that it's not a sponsored video by RaceChip. Yeah, just looking to get a little extra performance out of my car. Thanks again for watching. Okay, so I have the car set in the neutral setting in the XLR. And we're going to see how it feels. Once these people know how to drive. Of course, it has a little bit of boost from the race chip that's installed. And once we get a little clearing here, once this car in the front of us moves out of the way, we'll be able to see what we can do here. Put it into Sport Plus. Oh yeah, there's definitely a little bit more throttle response. As you all know, in a diesel it's pretty tough because the car is basically all torque, very little horsepower. Of course, now with the RaceChip GTS, we were cranking it up to 230 from 180. But now we're increasing the throttle sensitivity, which is nice. Of course, test driving a car in San Francisco is kind of tough, but you know, we'll see what we can do to feel the difference. But obviously there's a bit of a sharper response on the throttle. So what I want to do is put it into the Race Plus setting there, and we'll see if that makes any difference. If this light ever turns green. So I have the XLR and I also have the RaceChip GTS installed in my Volkswagen Golf R, which is also a 2018 model, which has really changed a lot in how the car responds. So oh yeah, so you can see the RPMs sort of hang a little longer. Normal, it doesn't shift. And it's definitely a lot more sensitive. Where it was. Oof. See, now you just tap the accelerator and you can feel a lot more power coming out of the car. Now it just wants to go, and now there's a lot more power to this car. And I'm not even in sport mode on the transmission, which maybe we should give it a little try here. See how that does. Pedestrians always think they have the right of way. Oh yeah. Nice. All right, so there is a significant difference in how this car feels. Now that I have the car set on race mode on the GTS, RaceChip GTS, and I've got this thing set up on Race Plus, you can feel a significant power boost in this car without really putting a lot of effort into pushing the accelerator pedal. So yeah, no, this is exciting, and super psyched to try it out on the highway and see how this car feels with the XLR and the GTS Black installed on this 2018 F-Pace Diesel. Thank you guys for watching. Hope it helps. Apologize again for the camera work, but hopefully the narration will make it pretty seamless for you guys to install the RaceChip system into your Jaguar F-Pace. Thanks again for watching.